Constitution that I am only 3/5 of a human being? Was it while I was a slave? Was it while you were exploiting my people in Africa? Is it while you showed... Hold on. This is not an argument. Is it? No, you can ask me a question when it's questions and answers. Is it? When did I become a human being? Come on. Was it while you were showing me on the television? Was it while you were showing me on the television? Dead and stiff, with flies in my mouth. Was that when I was a human being? When did I become a human being in your eyes? Was it while you were exploiting my people in Africa over 300 years under apartheid? Was I a human being then, and it's still going on today? When did I become a human being? Was it 20 years ago when you said that you would give the land back to the black people in Zimbabwe? And today, 20 years later, we are forced to take it because you're still denying the humanity of black people in Zimbabwe. When did I become this human being?
Break it down.
And I'm telling you, man, you want black people to love you? We will never love you until you show, till you prove that you are indeed a human being. And so far, we have not seen 1 ounce of humanity from you and your people. And I'm telling you this, we will never back down from this, because we know what we're dealing with. And you can talk the nice words as long as you like, but we see through your actions, because action speaks louder than words. So we get these white people, oh, I'm a good person, I don't believe in all of that racism or whatever. You know, we're all the same. Yeah, nice words. But look at the world in which we live. To this day in Africa, my people are living in tin shacks, while your people live in high-rise luxury in Africa. My people in Australia living in shacks on drugs and alcohol provided by you and your people, while you live on Bondi Beach in high-rise luxury. To this day, in the Indian subcontinent, same thing. Everywhere you go on the planet, same thing. And so, until you do justice by my people, not give me no platitudes and lip service, then I can't love you. Because even if your own mother ill-treats you as a human being, you are not required by God to love that woman who you came from, her womb. But if she will ill-treat you, it will disallow you to be able to love that which hurts and maims you and does harm to you, even though it be your own kith and kin. And so, I love those who I know as an actual fact are in the program of reform that would help me to come up as a man and help my people to come up as human beings, that we might enjoy our humanity, freedom, justice, and equality among ourselves. And this man, Louis Farrakhan, is the man that is doing that for us. But look, let me say, because I believe that you're sincere as a gentleman. I want to take your question in a minute, but let me say this. See, this is the man that we love. This is the man that reformed us. This is the man that stopped us smoking cigarettes. This is the man that stopped us drinking alcohol. This is the man that stopped us abusing our women. This is the man that put the idea in our head that we should educate our own children. This is the man that pointed us in the direction of total submission to the will of God. Not to him. This man has never taught us to worship him. This man has always taught us to worship Almighty God, Allah. You Arabs didn't come and do that. You Asians didn't come and do that. That's what Farrakhan did. So that's why we love. Yeah, Martin Luther taught us to love everybody. And he said one day he had a dream that little black boys and little black girls would hold hands, and you blew his brains out. That's what you did. Your people killed him when he was talking about integrating with you. Because you didn't want to integrate then. Now maybe you want to integrate because you see us now. We're not like Martin Luther now. We're not talking about turn the other cheek now. Now we're saying if you slap my cheek, I kick all 4 of your cheeks. Now you want to integrate. That sounds like trouble. But Martin, he was a good man. But he didn't present no threat to you. But now you perceive a threat. Because now we're not talking about integration no more. We're not talking about, oh, we're all the same, let's love everybody. Because we tried that.
Yes,
we tried that for 400 long years. We had a great revolutionary leader on the island of Haiti. His name was Toussaint Louverture. And he defeated the French army, the British army, and all that came onto the island of Haiti during slavery. And he established a slave colony with former slaves, and they made Haiti a great success. And Haiti became a haven of peace and tranquility among freed slaves who freed themselves from the yoke and oppression of white domination. Toussaint Louverture still believed that the French were good people, primarily that, it's just a few bad apples that were really exploiting black people on the island of Haiti. And so the French government of that day asked Toussaint Louverture to come to France and meet with the French government and, speak about a new relationship of equals. And Toussaint Louverture, trusting the white man, trusting the French, went to France and they locked him in their deepest dungeon and starved him to death and killed that great revolutionary leader because he really still had faith in you. He still believed in you. He still believed that you had a heart of a human being. And we have been appealing to the heart of white people for 400 years, and we have met with a heart of stone.
Go ahead, brother. And
we can prove it, because even today, in the face of a righteous and holy man, you're still banning. He's still banned. Your courts, the High Court in England said that the ban is unjust and illegal. That there is no basis for the ban. The ban should be lifted. The government appealed. Even when the government appealed, the court said that there are no grounds for the appeal. The government said, but there's a point of law that they wanted to argue. And on the basis of a point of law, they said that the ruling was a Home Office discretion. So now that means disregard the laws of the land. Home Office discretion. A blind man, David Blunkett.
Come on.
And you know what happens when the blind lead the blind?
Listen.
They both fall in the ditch. And so, today, we are governed by a blind man with a dog. Stopping the man of God.
Come on, think about it.
From coming and speaking a word that's not just beneficial to us, but would actually be beneficial to you.
That's right.
And would give you a way forward and out of the destruction and the chastisement of God into the 21st century. Take it or leave it alone.
On CNN, I was
This morning I was discussing the joke of death, and the principal point that I was making was that death and life, or that is to say, in other words, the interval and the event, death being the interval between events, between one appearance and another of human beings, in the same way as winter is the interval between the appearance of the leaves in spring and their disappearance in the fall. But there is, you see, the chronic fear that the interval may be all that there is, that the interval may triumph, and there may be no event. And I was trying to show you that there is a polarity between the event and the interval between events, in such a way that you can no more have the one without the other than you can have the crest of the wave without the trough. And that this goes on and on and on in endless cycles, where there are small intervals making up small intervals and waves which group together and make up a set of intervals and waves, and they in themselves constitute the crest of a larger wave with a much longer trough. And then again there comes the group of intervals and waves on a short rhythm. And that this thing that goes like, you see, like this, you see, that this thing in its turn is the crest of a still greater wave, and that the nature of being is that this is the scheme of things. But the joke about it, what makes it exciting, is the constant anticipation that there might not be anything again after the interval, that it might all come to an end. And the real problem, in order to turn death into a joke, that is to say, suddenly to recover from this terrible anxiety that it might be finished, and then transmute the vibration trembling of anxiety into laughter. It is the same thing. Only the trembling of laughter is the trembling of anxiety seen from a different point of view. Now, what are the things that are obstacles to our being able to see that? It's almost as if life were itself a guru. And you know how gurus throw out tests to their students to see if they can pass these various initiations, all of which require nerve in the face of some formidable obstacle. All fairy stories are full of this. And so life itself throws out all kinds of reasons for supposing that we are faced with something serious instead of something playful. And I want to discuss with you a few ways which in Western history this obstacle has been thrown out, and how we today are bamboozled by these obstacles. In the history of Western civilization, there have really been, in the past 2,000 years, two dominant mythologies. One has had a long run and the other has had a fairly short run. But they are both ways of terrifying you so that you won't see the point. But at the same time, they are perhaps not merely negative things, but challenges, barriers of the same kind that a guru would offer. For example, in the study of Zen, each koan is referred to as a barrier. And if you can pass the barrier, you see, you get in. But the function of the teacher is to put the barriers up to see how you'll react to them. So, in a way, we could say that the two great mythologies which have dominated the Western world in the past 2,000 years are two barriers. The first, of course, is the Christian mythology. And in the Christian mythology, the individual is made to feel that he is strictly on probation, that he does not really belong, that if he is at all a son of God, he is so by adoption and grace. He isn't really one of the family. Let me explore the theology of that a moment. In Christian theology, God has only one son. The monogenes, or the only begotten Son of God, who is the second person of the Trinity, the Logos, the divine idea of itself. Trinity constitutes a family. And naturally, it's therefore threefold, because for the Greek mind, and it was the Greek mind that molded Christian theology, meaning entirely depends on the structure of the Greek language. And Greek, in common with all Western languages, and indeed also Sanskrit, from which it is derived, has a sentence structure in which there is the subject, the verb, and the predicate. And we can't make any sense without those three things. We have to have an I love you or an I know you sentence for there to be any love or for there to be any knowledge. There must be the lover. The lover can't love without having a beloved, and the lover doesn't relate to the beloved without the relationship of love between them. So there you have the subject, the predicate, and the verb. And so naturally, in Greek ideas, the very inner nature of reality of the Godhead itself must be threefold, following the structure of Greek thought and Greek grammar. So, in this way, the inner life of the Godhead is completely self-sufficient. There is the Son, the object of God's love, so that God doesn't need any created world of finite beings as the necessary object of his love, so that he can be love. You see? So then, the created world is something extraneous. It's something that the Lord threw off in a fit of exuberance. And although it is very much beloved by him, he doesn't in any way depend on it. He, in a sense, fathered it, but he fathered it out of nothing. It had no true mother. And so in a way it's an orphan. And the relationship between the creator and the creature in popular Christianity has always been the relationship between the king and the subject. And the relationship between the king and the subject is very, very estranged, because the king, in the archetypes of kingship which existed in the Near East in ancient times and upon which this theological imagery was originally modeled, the king was really afraid. He always appeared in the throne room with his back to the wall. He didn't stand in the middle of his people and say, and look around at everybody like that. He stood with his back to the wall like this. It's funny how all altars, Buddhas and things, have their backs to the wall, because there you can't be stabbed. And you have your guards and your henchmen on either side of you. And all the people prostrate themselves, because that way you can watch them all. They can't see you and you can see them. So you're safe. And that's the imagery, you see, which has given us our Western conception of God. Of the Father, whose children have become a little bit too much for him. He's had too many. And they have to be kept in their place. And so he's a little bit frightened. And so the rules are set up. You just do so and so and so and so. And you must feel grateful for having been fathered. You're a miserable worm, and therefore inwardly, because without me you might not have been. You owe everything you have to my having produced you, and you are a debtor. And because you are a debtor, you have a duty. Duty is the same word as debt, debit. You owe life to me who produced you, although I won't admit I had a great deal of fun doing it. And so you must all crawl. Now, you see, that conception of our relationship to reality has been the popular idea for centuries in the Western world.
Come here. Come here.
So that you never really knew where you stood with the authority. Because The authority gives you the impression that you are so bad intrinsically that at any time you ought to be punished and eaten up. And it's only a matter of mercy that you're not being eaten up. So the prayers of the Christian church are full of the idea, "O Lord, we are not worthy. And since it is only of thy great mercy that we continue to survive at all, we humbly beseech thee," etc., etc. Imagine going around with that feeling about the nature of reality, that it is watching you all the time, that you're always on probation, like a released prisoner. And therefore there is an all-seeing eye at every moment of the day and night surveying you, much more efficiently than any big brother could watch you through tiny TV cameras in your bedroom. I know a friend of mine who is a devout Catholic, and in her toilet, but she is different, she has a sense of humor. And in the toilet, it's an old-fashioned one, there's a tank and a pipe coming down to the john. And there's a little placard on it with a big eye painted. And in Gothic letters underneath it, it says, "Thou, God, seest me." So always, everywhere, according to this mythology, there is the eye of the paternal judge watching you. Now, what can you do with a situation like that? If that's the way things really are, you don't know whether this Lord has a sense of humor, and whether you can say to him, "Hey, look, don't take such an advantage of me like that. Turn down that light a little. Close off your eyes sometimes. You don't need to be all that particular. You know I can't do anything to you. I can't knock you over. Why do you need to bug me all the time?" The sort of attitude is too much. And so people couldn't stand it. 600 years of it was enough.
Put that back in your room.
And it became intolerable. Really intolerable. Because everybody knew they were sinners, and that they were doing all the things against the rules in the book, and nobody could possibly put up with it. So the only thing they could do to relieve themselves of this horrible father figure was to make out that the universe didn't have a father at all. That it was really an orphan. Not even virgin born. It didn't even have a mother. In other words, in order to escape from the mythology of a conception of ultimate reality, which was much too intelligent and much too nosy, people had to invent a conception of the ultimate reality that was completely banal and dead. So the second Western mythology is the mythology of the mechanical universe, which is a fluke emerging from a process of absolutely blind energy. And you must notice the language in which the great thinkers of the 19th century thought about the world. Freud, for the basic psychic energy, used the word libido, which in 19th century Vienna was exceedingly uncomplimentary. Libido, blind lust. And so in the same way, the science philosophers of the 19th century talked about the world as being based on brute force, unintelligent energy, and worked out a conception of man as a really rather unfortunate natural fluke. Consciousness, reason, and indeed also the passions and feelings and desires of the human heart were nothing but the end product of a roulette wheel of natural selection. It's a most curious paradox that those philosophers of the 19th century who denied the supernatural origin of man and who insisted that man is simply a part of nature, one of the members of nature, nevertheless set up a state of alienation between man and nature without precedent. I am a part of nature. I am something that nature fluked into being, but nevertheless this fluke is something that nature doesn't care about. It doesn't care about my ego and its future. All that is important to nature is the species. The individual is irrelevant. At the same time, this philosophy arose when we were becoming conscious of this sheer magnitude of the universe. And it took the first impression of this vastness as a pretext for making little of human beings and saying, what do you matter in this huge cosmos? You're just a little fluke. You're just a little nothing at all. This thing goes way on beyond all imagination. And therefore man is just so much fungus on a rock, and a very tiny rock at that. In other words, it took the standpoint, let's set up a scale between two limits. We will, and this is the traditional Western opposition. On the one end of the scale to the left here, you have matter, the inert, the clay put into shape by the potter. On the other end of the scale you have spirit, which is intelligence. And these are what the mathematicians call limits. And a limit is something you approach, but you never actually get there. Now, what the 19th century mythology did was to think of all things towards the limit called matter. It said, in effect, there is this dead material stuff. It is energetic, but the energy is unintelligent. It's a kind of roaring mechanical energy like fire or electricity or so on. It is not intelligent. And everything is really that. What we call human intelligence and consciousness are merely complicated forms of this primordial energy. And they are nothing but that. In the same way, we are evolved from lower orders of animals. And I can trace my ancestry to a protoplasmal globule, Poopa says. And, that's what you really are. You're only a complicated protoplasmal globule. Now, do you see the intent behind this mythology? The intent is to deprecate. The intent is, as we say now, to put down the human being, because the human being felt that hitherto he had been put up too far in the wrong way. You are a child of God, and the Lord loves you very dearly, but, that's just insufferable, to be put up in that way. You have an immortal soul. Your life is endless, but it can very well turn out to be a life of endless agony when you fry in hell. And that was a very serious threat to both Protestants and Catholics. And so it's much better, much more comfortable to have a dead universe than a living universe so everlastingly threatening. So then, the mythology of the 19th century, under which most of us still operate, because we operate under it because it has become so plausible. The science out of which this mythology arose has been so effective. It has produced such a marvelous splash of technological marvels that its point of view, or the point of view of those scientists who started the whole thing going, has become amazingly persuasive and convincing. After all, if I can reach into your brain with a very, very subtle instrument, and I can poke about inside and press there, and suddenly, on a certain point when I press it, a world of memory comes to life so vividly that you see it before your very eyes. I remove the instrument, it vanishes. I touch another place. You experience intense pleasure, absolutely unbelievable pleasure. I remove it, the sensation vanishes. Every time I touch inside, you get a sensation externally of intense reality. And I say, after all, I was only just pushing things in your brain. You see what a push-button thing you are? That's it. I can just poke around and you can see anything. But all that's happening is I'm putting a little electrode or something on certain parts of your brain. That's all you are, poor fish. You're just that kind of a sensitive sponge inside your head bone. Well, that gets very persuasive, you see. And people are therefore in a position, they are prejudiced to favor a mythology that will make out that you are, after all, nothing but something or other. Nothing but a kind of complicated neurological jello. And that point of view, as I said, has become enormously convincing. It's plausible today, whereas the old point of view of God the Father and all the angels isn't plausible. It seems kind of weird in relation to what we know about the state of the universe. Now, what we have to see is that both of these points of view are equally mythological. And there's no more reason to take one than the other. And that what these points of view reflect are nothing other than certain attitudes to living. Now you see, if you want to live in a way that always is saying, I think that life is disgusting. Supposing you want to deny being, then you can always describe it in ways that are offensive. You can always say playing the violin is just scraping cat's entrails with horsehair. That puts it down, and you say, people who play golf, they're a bunch of idiots who go out on take a walk, and they hit a stupid little ball with sticks. Or that people who like music are just a bunch of idiots who sit around and go out of their minds listening to a lot of complicated noises. See, there's always a way of talking about something to make it sound terrible. Equally, there's a way of talking about something to make it sound great. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to live your life in such a way that you're always saying to it, do you want to, is that a good way to conduct things? Or do you want to live your life in such a way that you say, come on, let's go, you see, let's swing this thing. On the one hand, you see, you're always in tension against it. Do you remember I pointed out to you in this morning that the person who's anxious, constantly anxious, is the person who is resisting the flip-flopability of things. Life is vibrating, it's going blip, 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 blip all the time. And the anxious person says, God's sake, don't do that. Because, you might do it too much. I don't want to blip like this. It makes me feel nervous. Stop it. And so, as he puts his weight on this blub blub, he goes like this, you see, it gets trembling. So instead of saying, come on, let's blub, see, let's go, and do this thing, so in exactly the same way, the person who wants to say, well, you're nothing but some kind of chemicals, and they're just a lot of, you're a bag of pus and blood, basically, with a few bones inside. And that person is doing the same thing, you see, as the person is putting pressure on the flip-flop ability of things, and so he gets anxious. And the person who does this, he wants to say, he's always, look, think about your friends and the people who are philosophical and enthusiastic materialists. They're always going to pose themselves as a certain kind of hero. After all, you're just a dreamer, but I face facts. See? I'm a hard-headed realist. And as a matter of fact, I'm an intellectual porcupine. I have my prickles out all over the place, because I'm the kind of person who, in the academic world at any rate, is full of rigor. I ask, what precisely is the evidence about this? And I'm analytical. And believe in, I don't like woolly and vague thinking. I like it clear-cut. And you could see that porcupine's bristle going right through like that. See, well, this is a personality type who wants to play that role, whose message in saying all this jazz is, I'm the kind of person who is all dry as a bone. But I believe that that is strength, and that's reality. And another kind of person says to him, oh, you are intolerable. You're so dry, you're so dull, you raffle. You don't have any juice in you. And what we need is juice. And we need flow. We need lilt and rhythm and gaiety, you see. So that's an opposed mythology. And that's another character part we're going to play. So we've got to consider these are games, you see, as I tried to show you earlier. The kind of roles we play are the kind of games we play. So, but the question is, which is the optimal game? Certainly we can't do without some prickly people, because life is prickles and goo. And it's basically gooey prickles and prickly goo, but the gooey people are always trying to make out that it's only goo, and the prickly people are always trying to make out it's only prickles. And we do need both, see? But the question is fundamentally, which game works better? The game that resists the vibration, the flip-flop, or the game that goes with it? Obviously, the game that goes with it, that cooperates with the general scene, will be a longer game and a more amusing game than one that totally resists it. Although, I don't want to, I said totally advisedly, because it's great fun to resist it at times. See, it's just like when somebody massages you, you know, and they're really expert and those fingers are just vibrating like this on your back, you can give and just go woof. But it's also fun sometimes to tighten yourself, your muscles against it, so as to feel the full impact of this thing, see? But what I want to, the real point I want to get across is that what seems to us the hard-boiled common sense of a mechanistic view of the universe is nothing other than a myth. You don't have to be taken in by this, because there is no more solid argument that that is the way things are than any other argument about any other way things might be. Now, it goes like this, you see. Again, think of the idea of limits. We'll take different limits this time. We'll take one limit on the right hand here as consciousness. extreme, lively sensitivity. And on the other hand, we'll take the opposite limit, which is geological. The stone, the blind energy, the electrical force without any consciousness whatsoever. These are observable things. We see the living human being on one extreme, and we see the stone or the fire on the other. Now, our 19th century mythologist wants to describe this limit in terms of this one. He wants to say that consciousness is nothing but a very complicated form of minerals. Why can't you go the other way and just as easily say minerals are a very simple form of consciousness? That works, doesn't it? I mean, after all, here's this mineral. I knock it, and it says that to me. This is a rudimentary form of consciousness. This thing inside is not making a noise to itself because that requires ears. But in some way, this thing is going to itself. It's shaking like that. And that's its consciousness, its response, its resonance. It isn't totally unconscious, but its consciousness is extremely simple. Now, you may think I'm spinning fairy stories, but is that any more of a fairy story than to say that your consciousness is nothing but chemistry? I mean, you think you're conscious, and that you have this high and mighty state of affairs, but actually, of course, if we look at this very realistically, all this is just colloidal substances bubbling around. See, both that story and the other story can be made to seem equally fanciful. But the question is this: if I say about the gong, look, my friend, I respect you because you are a little bit conscious. You relate to me. You're kind of a younger brother, and then there's something endearing and warm about this attitude to things. Whereas if I say, you're just a piece of metal, and as a matter of fact, I'm just a piece of metal too, that's a kind of insult. Now, the people who believe that are really suicidal maniacs. They want to put themselves down. They are against their own life, and they take a great pride in being that way, and they call it being realistic. And I'm only saying it's a better gamble to take it the other way and say the best thing you can say about it, that this is a living being, but not so much of a living being as a snail or something that actually wanders along and wiggles. So you see, the pressure upon us of the whole mythology of the 19th century, the whole attitude of putting down the universe because the previous myth had been too uncomfortably alive, is simply a way of looking at things. Let me give another illustration of the same thing. If you study the various forms of life from the standpoint of natural selection, you may come up with a rationalization for everything. Somebody wants to know, why do butterflies have eyes on their wings? Some butterflies. Well, somebody scratches his head and says, oh, well, there must be an explanation for that. There's an explanation for everything. Why is there an explanation for everything? Because the universe is really a tight engineering job. So, why do some butterflies have eyes? Well, it so happened that some fluke of a butterfly once got an eye on its wing, and birds would avoid it because that eye looked at them and it was just too much. So those butterflies that had eyes on their wings bred, whereas the butterflies that didn't have eyes got eaten up more easily. Although some of them had other alternatives, because of not having eyes, they were invisible and the birds couldn't see them. And so more of that kind survived, although those with the terrifying eyes survived, and so they didn't get eaten up either. So it tended to multiply. So it's just a perfectly easy, simple explanation of why butterflies have eyes on their wings. Of course, other things, some birds with extraordinary plumages, which look so obvious that anybody could catch them, any cat, any hunter. No, they survived because they were so attractive to their females. And so they bred very well. As a matter of fact, this isn't true, they didn't. And, but any explanation will do, provided it seems to explain. Now that is one way of looking at things. You can make an extremely consistent theory for the different kind of species of flowers and birds and insects and all their markings and so on, just why they have them. But on the other hand, you can equally well explain it in a completely different way. You can say, it would be exceedingly dreary if there were nothing but one uniform type of life. Supposing there had never been anything but amoebas, and there were just globules, and they divided, and then they divided again, and then they divided again. You know, that could have gone on, and it could have been terribly efficient, because the minute you went to hit an amoeba, you would strike it, but suddenly find you'd killed only one of them because it split just before you hit. It's a marvelous arrangement. And you know, they could split very fast. You could suddenly go at another with two hammers, hoping to catch both amoebas, but suddenly they split, and there were 8 of them before you knew where you were. That would be fine. But actually, the reason why there is all this colossal variety and all these patterns on butterflies' wings is that nature is a poet and is simply having a wonderful time making all this variety and doing all these various things. And that explanation is just as plausible as the efficient explanation. You see, the philosophy is to a large extent a matter of taste. What sort of explanations suit your personality? If you're an anal retentive type and rather tight, then you like the efficient explanation. On the other hand, if you're an effusive type, you like the poetic explanation. But there are, though, beyond that, certain considerations of which of these explanations affords better games. And the economic anal retentive explanation can give good games up to a point, because there's all the thrill of working out the chains of interconnection, all the reasoning whereby finally you go through all sorts of rational conniptions and explain why the butterfly has a big eye on its wing. Fine. But where do you end up? You end up in a mechanical straitjacket. You've got to be careful along the other line of approach that you just don't end up in a morass. You could do that. So you look for a middle way. But the point that emerges from all this is don't be bamboozled into fearing that the black will win, because the white is the only thing there is, and the black, the nothing that surrounds it, will eventually engulf it. All these are, as it were, nursery stories to terrify children. You live in a cosmos where the light of consciousness and the darkness of unconsciousness go back and forth, just as the crests and the troughs of the waves. situation of yang and yin, positive and negative, is exceedingly productive. It's like a male and a female who become the parents of all sorts of children. And out of yang and yin, black and white,
And now for our feature presentation.
To the Thinking Man's Temple, the place where we say one red pill life thought weighs a million blue pill lives, and where the soldiers can come in from the wall, remove their armor, drop their swords, and have conversations with like-minded men. And indeed, gentlemen, once again, I am at your service. I pray that all of you had a great week, and you have a great month, and everything that you want becomes a reality. Today's conversation is about being alone with your demons. Do you believe that you have these traumas, these demons, so to speak, that have been hanging on to your psyche since you were a child? Things that you may have thought you forgot, you moved on from, you've outgrown, you've defeated, but yet they still linger. They find their way creeping into the back of your subconscious when you're having a conversation about money or with a woman. Those demons that are left behind by the way some of us were brought up in these abusive, destructive, toxic households we come up in, not knowing that the long-lasting effects can be for a lifetime. It affects how you view the world. It affects how you allow people into your life. Sometimes I think back to when I was a child, and I think of some of the times I was beaten horribly by my mother and my grandmother. And for some reason, it almost felt like the beatings were coming more than
the teachings, the lessons, the guidance. It was almost like you get beat, and that's that, right? Don't do this again, but no one offers an alternative to your behavior. It's just beat you and don't do this again. That's the worst part about being in these single-parent households. Your mother is so exhausted. She's not really raising you. She's just maintaining you to maintain herself. To keep her comfort level high as possible, she figures the easy way out is just beating her children into submission, cursing at you, creating an environment of terror in the house. If she creates the environment of terror, not a place of learning or love, compassion, that the household becomes more comfortable for her when she's not working or whatever she's doing to make a buck, is that she can still maintain her separate life because mama gotta live too, right? So as long as her children are encapsulated in this environment of terror, of her, fear of her lash, her wrath, that she can maintain a house of comfort. She can still be that young, childless woman outside of you. Because a lot of us who grew up in these single mother households, we got to witness our mothers try to relive their childless days, you know, with the boyfriends and, you know, the dating. You see your mom dating and bringing men in the house, sneaking men in the house. I can recall countless times I walked in on my mother in the bed with men, naked. Strange men. I've never seen men for her job or boyfriends. But I realized this, and I know for a fact that my mother wasn't really looking for anyone to be anything, see, because still in her mind she was this independent woman. Despite her drug use days and her abusing drugs, her failures, you know, my grandmother, as I said in the past, a lot of you know my story. My grandmother saved my life. Saved my life. Offered me a better life. Offered me parenting. Despite her having her rough exterior when I was a child, once I became 13, 14, it was almost like she didn't ever cross a boundary with me again. It's almost like she depended on me too much. And she saw that. And it was almost like she spent the rest of her time around me as I got older, redoing or undoing the trauma. She just wanted me to be a regular kid because she saw my intelligence. My mother saw it, but she didn't foster it. See, there's a difference in parenting. A lot of us had intelligence. We had a lot of things that were ahead of the curve. That's what happens with other races of children. When parents spot these things, they foster it. They get tutors. They put them in certain programs to keep the intelligent ball rolling. See, my grandmother knew the importance of intelligence in a man. And she fostered it. She put me in science programs. She made sure I had books. She made sure I always had some reading time. I had some new material. I had something to foster my mind. She made sure that I had a decent high school experience. She wanted me to go to the prom. She wanted me to have these times. Right? But when I got older, I started to look back on a lot of that stuff, man. And it created, sometimes our parents create us to be replicas of themselves. Even if we're not, even if it's by accident. See, a lot of us become these lone wolves because our mothers were singular women. Nobody wanted them. So they were forced to be alone, right? But that ideology, the things she would say, the things she would teach you, were forcing you to be the same way. Even though you might have been desired, and you could have went down a different path. Now we're kind of forced into this world because now we see what type of women and options we have, and we learn to kind of isolate ourselves from that, so to speak. And then I started to really be by myself. And oftentimes when you're alone, you start to think. Your mind starts to wander. Your brain begins to create scenarios, or it begins to flash back, and the nostalgia and your memories and your PTSD begin to surface.
Was the best scene in the movie is when Mammy told the white people, "Get off my ass." I stood and I applauded. I loved every bit of it.
A few moments later.
A lot of people seem to not understand me. Yes, I call out white people for not understanding their privilege and not understanding that they live in a society that puts them systematically on the top. But don't get it wrong. I am still a white man's whore. If Timothy Chalamet were to come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm taking your virginity," I'm not asking any questions. I'm not giving any suggestions. I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to let that white man defile me.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you.
Tell her you're not coming home. Tell her you're not coming home.
Yeah, later on. Yeah, I love you too.
Hey guys, it's Madam X again, and I have another question. And my question is, why don't white guys approach black girls? So the main reason why I pose this question is because I love white guys. I'm not attracted to black guys at all. And I don't know. I just find it so funny that I can just walk down the block and a black guy will like walk up to me and even grab my arm and be like, "Yo ma, hey ma, can I get in your pants?" And
why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying.
And all that stuff. And it's like, I'm not attracted to that at all. Like, really, come on. And, you know, it's like, it's so funny when I walk down the street or in a building somewhere and I see a cute white guy and he looks at me, but he doesn't approach me. So I'm like, okay, what is it about me that he, you know, he doesn't want to approach me or can't approach me? Yeah, I don't know what it is. So that's why I'm asking you guys, and hopefully, you know, you can reply and answer that question, because I'm dying to know. So, yeah, I guess that's it for now. And until next time.
What's wrong with you? Man, she can't put it on you how I put it on you, man. Fuck that old lady, man. Man, what you mean? You probably a whole flip out here. Stupid ass trying to act bougie. How you already, man, you won't play hard to get you already hard to walk stupid, stuck ass nigga, man. You got me fucked up, man. Fuck you, boy.
I hope you don't mind me doing all this thing down. I'm watching all this. I want to tear you. And your friends.
Y'all, this is how I really want to pull hood dudes up when I see them. Right.
Where y'all going? That don't even make sense. Where your license is? You ain't got one. Who got a license in here? Somebody got a license. Whatever. Whatever, no. Y'all got some drugs in here? On some drugs? Yeah. What kind of drugs y'all got? For what? Boy, hell no. What y'all trying to do? No. You don't get no money. Alright, shove me 10 bands right now. You try to shove me 10 bands, I ain't letting y'all go. Nope, make everybody got the party. Nope. Nope. Shove me 10 bands. Now. Nope. It ain't 10. Count it again. Get out. What's your number? What you do for a living?
Police? Oh no, I just bring this for lunch. It ain't nothing. So if I were to tell your car, is your wife gonna come get it? I'm just saying, is she gonna come get it? What you say? I know, right? It's a good one. Stop. Come on. So I'm saying, what you doing out here? The turkey leg cut. Boys, ladies, stop playing. Hold on, let me tie my shoe. No, look, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, what you doing? You ain't talking about nothing.
His kids?
Where's the kids doing this for? The what?
You look like a frog. You have no arms, you have no titties. That's why your husband's probably not fucking you, and that's why you're so upset. Now I understand. Motherfuckers do some squats. You have no arms, bitch.
Just remember, I'm gonna fuck your husband. I'm gonna come back and fuck your whole fucking family. You are going to have a problem. You're supposed to have 2 meters of space. You're invading my space right now. You're asking me, who are you? Are you police?
Because you're not allowed to stand and loiter. You need to go into your house.
Stand and loiter.
On the half spotted her more than once. Ass so fat that you can see her from the front. She spot me like paparazzi. Shot me in glance and that cat woman stands in the back. What the fuck is this, cousin?
Look at it.
Like, what you doing? You pregnant? What the fuck are you pregnant?
You know exactly what it says.
What do you mean I can't?
We're having a baby.
Who is we?
Me and you.
What do you know?
Relax. Don't throw my nose picking
You're
up.
not even cute. You are really ugly
but
as
she was in my
shit.
face.
For the past semester, the African American Studies Center and the School of Education are co-sponsoring a 2-credit course on the miseducation of black boys. As most of you in the room know, that there are certain demographic groups who, just by the nature of the group into which they are born, are at significant risk for academic failure, There are more African American males in prison than there are in college, and the litany goes on and on. And so in general, there's this incredibly negative public image of what it means to teach in lower income schools, to work with lower income families, and specifically that those issues get stereotyped in the life of black boys. So it's rare in the educational establishment to find somebody who has such a clear vision of what is strong and powerful in the life of black boys and girls and other kids of color, and is willing to dedicate their life in this incredible combination of direct instruction and teaching, being in the classroom, running a school, influencing policy throughout the state of California, and also being willing to come out and share his perspective with the rest of the world. So I've had Dr. Holly come in and work with trainings with me in Wisconsin, and the one thing I would like to say, as many of you know, that as open as I am for discussion and dialogue, I'm hard to convince, particularly when I have a strong opinion, and he was able to lead me into understanding of the linguistic issues for African American families in a way that I found it not only powerful in its intellectual quality, but convincing in terms of structuring of my own approaches to pedagogy. So without much further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Holly to you and turn the mic over, and hope you enjoy it. Be ready and be willing to ask a lot of stimulating questions at the end. Thanks.
Good evening. Good evening. Come on, I'm from LA. Good evening. I want to thank Dean Coleman for the invitation. It's good to know people in high places, as they say, and I appreciate him bringing me out to Boston University. It's really my first time in Boston. I was here when I was a kid, don't remember too much. So we were very open to the invitation, even though I was hoping for a little warmer weather, of course, but oh well. As he said, you know, we're sort of at the crossroads of doing this work. And I kind of have three different vantage points that I think benefit overall, and I'm just going to cover them a little bit, and then I'm just going to jump right into what we do. The first vantage point is from the university perspective. I'm a professor at Cal State Dominguez Hills, which is essentially a teacher training university. Cal State Dominguez Hills credentials the most teachers of color in California. And I work there mainly in secondary education around reading, language, literacy issues. A lot of our students work in the LA sort of stereotypical urban schools, you know, Los Angeles Unified, Compton, Long Beach universities going to that. I work the past couple of years with Teach for America cohort. So I have specifically Teach for America students, which is a whole nother story. Trying to convince them to stay longer than 2 years, which I think we're doing an okay job. That's one vantage point. So I have that sort of perspective of the university trying to deal with this. Then my second vantage point is as a co-director and founder of an independent charter school in Los Angeles called the Culture and Language Academy of Success. And that's a kindergarten through 8th grade school. We have 350 students, and we're known because we have all African American students. We're 100% African American, and the only all African American school in the state, and certainly in the LA area. And we have great literacy results. 60% of our students score 80, 60% and above in AYP, the annual yearly progress, which is the federal monitor. So we have people come up from all over the country to see what we're doing around the linguistic affirmation that we do. And then my third hat is what I'm doing with you today. Well, let me go back. Certainly being at the school site keeps me grounded, keeps it real, if you know what I mean. So, because we're dealing with students, we're dealing with parents, we're dealing with all the issues that are at a school site, and our goal is to create a school-wide model using the approach I'm going to introduce to you today. So that's very important work for me, because I don't get too distant from what the real issues are in terms of working with African American children, particularly African American males, where we have a reputation for having a lot of success. A lot of schools send us the students who they're having trouble with, per se, right? But when they come to our school, they don't have, I would say, as much trouble. we had a student, his name is, I can say his name is Craig Jones, and he went to the UCLA sort of laboratory school. It's called Seeds Elementary, and he was in the office every single day. His parents are well-to-do. His mom's a lawyer. His dad is a professional, and he was in the office every day, and his mom brought him to us and she said, I know my kid's not bad. He's a good kid, but for whatever reason, he stays in the office. I think in the 3 years that Craig was with us, he was only in the office twice. Well, with me at least, right? And now he goes to Loyola High School in LA, which is a pretty high-level parochial school there for us in the community there. So we've had some success using the approach I'm going to introduce with those students. The last hat is what I'm doing with you today, and that's traveling around the country teaching teachers about the approach, and in the context, as Dean Coleman mentioned, of the failure. And I'm not there for my good looks, you know what I'm saying? I'm there because, as you can see, I'm not a humble guy, right? I'm there because the school is in some type of program improvement status. They are under some type of mandate, some type of edict around their lack of success with namely African American students, but we can broaden that. And they've been told if you don't demonstrate or if you don't show that you're doing something to specifically address this, then we're going to come with some type of sanction or something like that. So many of the districts and many of the teachers that I work with, they're under that pressure. And it's sort of been a good thing in a way that it sort of opened the door for this conversation. Because I've been doing this about 11 years now, prior to No Child Left Behind, you really didn't have a lot of these school districts open to this type of conversation. So it's had an unintended effect, I think. And so we work primarily in Northern California, but we have situations in St. Louis, in New York, in different places. And what I mean by that means that we're working with the students and the teachers in the classroom, which is our overall goal. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. So what you see here is sort of a mixture of all of that kind of put together. So just to kind of go along with the theme of the time, I've changed my title to Your Culturally Responsive Stimulus Package. And I'm looking at it, we're in terms of how we can take some of the lessons that we're trying to learn from the economic situation and how can we apply it to the education situation. And the economic situation has been described as a crisis. And certainly those of us who've been in education, we can make a similar description as a crisis. But we see every crisis as an opportunity, as has been said. And so this is an opportunity for us to really bring a layer that we think can benefit any type of attempt to try to bring improvement and change. And that is culturally and linguistically responsive teaching. And I'm just going to define it for you real fast. Culturally and linguistically responsive teaching is the validation and affirmation of the home language and culture for the purposes of transitioning or bridging for academic success and success in mainstream culture. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to where the students are so that you can bring them where they need to be. Or, as we call it, be situationally appropriate. And situationally appropriate is really learning what cultural and linguistic norm is appropriate for the situation that I can code switch to, but without losing who I am in that process. So I don't have to change what's internal to me culturally and linguistically in order to speak standard English or academic language depending on my audience. I can still maintain that. And that's what we do. That's what we do at our school in terms of our entire teaching. And what we're simply saying is that the school system is really based on making that code switch, but at the expense of who you are. And secondly, not going to where the students are. The analogy that we use is simply trying to think about how you learn. If you think about how you learned how to swim. Now, how you learned how to swim, probably one of two ways. The first way is you were thrown into the pool, and the teacher was on the side saying, that's it, kick, come on, do it, do it, do it. As you were flailing and it wasn't happening. And we know that in education to be what type of approach? It's called the sink or what? Swim approach, right? Then there's a second type where the teacher is actually in the pool with you, guiding you, holding you, instructing you, and then somehow slowly kind of lets go, and then you're doing it on your own. That's the approach that we're shooting for, the one where we meet the students in the pool and bring them along the way. So it has two components to it. The first component is culturally understanding where we are. And then the second component is linguistically understanding where we are. And it's based in instructional strategies. And that's why 90% of whom I talk to are practicing classroom teachers. Because we're trying to get them to do their instruction in a different way, by first starting with their mindset and then ending with the practice. So what we're saying is we're not going to use guest speakers. We're not going to use posters. We're not going to use some type of ethnic cultural month. We're not going to use ethnic food day. We're not going to use ethnic dress day. That's not how we're going to get at this issue of diversity. That's not how we're going to get at this issue of culture. We're going to get at it by understanding more so where the students are culturally and linguistically and how we can accommodate or be responsive to them through the instructional practice, how we teach. And it's through that experience for the students that'll bring about the change that we want to see with them academically, behaviorally, and so on. So I want to begin, just to change the energy in the room, is to, by doing an activity with you, and then coming back to talk a little bit about race and culture, then going to another activity, and then coming back to talk about the language piece. So that's how we're going to sort of tag team this. Hopefully each of
Enlisted is the free, brand new online World War II shooter. Command a squad of soldiers and participate in legendary battles of the...
Nigga, what? Man, this nigga got me fucked up. That's for real, nigga. What you talking about? Nigga, John told me he gonna slap the fuck out of me. Okay, let's see then. He got me fucked up. Yes, John.
The nigga that beat up that pit bull with his bare hands with the metal plate in his jaw?
What? I don't care what he did, nigga. I'm telling you, he got me fucked up. He said he gonna slap me, nigga. Come on, nigga. What's up, nigga?
You gotta let that nigga make that, bro.
Let him make it. Man, you got me fucked up, man. Come on. Let's go drop this nigga, bro. Come on, metal plate in his jaw. Yeah, okay. Ain't nobody scared of no John, bro.
I'm not saying you gotta be scared, bro. Just listen, bro.
Yeah, what about him?
You told the nigga that fought a pit bull with his bare hands?
Man, oh my God, are you serious? Ain't nobody care about no plate, no jaw.
Wait, hey, bro, don't let him fight him. What are you doing? I already told him, bro. He won't listen to me, bro. John is not normal.
He's not. Y'all scared, bro. Get back to jaw, man. You better go.
All right, man. Bro, he beat up a pit bull with his bare hands.
Ain't nobody care, bro. He about to see me. I don't care. He finna see me for real. Hold on, here go my mama right here. Hold on. Yeah, no, I'm finna fight this nigga named John. I don't care, bro.
John? Baby, that's that boy that fought that pit bull and got that metal plate in his jaw.
Mama, are you serious?
He like that.
Ain't nobody care. He got a metal jaw. Man.
No, don't fight him.
All right, man, I'm gonna call you later. Man, all right, I'm gonna call you after he drop.
Bro, even your mama know about it.
I don't care what my mama knows, bro. I don't care.
Bro, let's just go back to the house, bro.
Bro, fuck that. What's up, nigga? What's up, nigga? I'm trying to pick up my hands, and I gotta play my jaw, nigga. What's up? Okay, I don't care. Nigga, ain't shit to me, nigga. You shit to me. What's up, nigga? Nigga, swing again. Yeah, that hurt, don't it? Come on. Let's swing.
Nope. Don't look at me. I told you not to come out here in the first place. Now look.
What's up, you yeah, nigga, that shit hurt, don't it? What's up? Come on, swing again. Swing again, nigga. Come on. Yeah, nigga, that ain't shit to me. What's up, nigga? Yeah, that shit hurt, don't it? That shit hurt, don't it? Yeah, keep swinging. No, keep fighting, man. What's up? Keep talking that shit, nigga. What's up? Come on.
And here we are to kick off the Hood Olympics 2021, and we're going to start this one off with men's drive-bys with Mark Phillips of Team USA. Now, Mark is definitely a Hood Olympian that you want to look out for. He has won gold in several other Hood activities, and pay attention. Look how he looks around to see if there's any witnesses as he gets ready to complete his drive-by. He's going to be a tough one to beat. Let's see how he does. And Mark starts sliding. It looks like he may have caught his target off guard. The target hits the corner quickly. Mark cannot hit none of his shots. This does not look good, and Mark has failed the mission. He is disappointed with his performance. He knows he could have done better. He is going to have to learn to slide better than that. Next up, France's very own Desmond Johnson, a very decorated hood nigga in his own right. He's looking to take home a gold medal in men's drive-bys today. Desmond with a phenomenal start. He hits the target once, but the target is not falling. He's still moving. He hits the corner, and the man gets away. His hood in France is not going to be happy with his performance. He definitely may have to answer to an OG. Wait, what is this? It seems like Mark was so disappointed with his performance, he has decided to spin the block again. The target is coming back outside to see if the coast is clear, and Mark has spin the block again successfully. The target is on the ground. Mark has won a gold medal. And up next, we have one of the hood's favorite activities. We have Team USA in men's jumping. Now, Team USA is definitely a team you want to look out for in jumping because there's not too many other countries that like to jump more than the hoods in the United States. Let's see how they perform this year. And we also have our volunteer, Dylan Patel, ready to get jumped.
Hey, what's good, bro? Hey, let's holler at you real quick.
And they're off. They get him to the ground very quickly, and they're beating the mess out of him. Oh, this is going to be a hard one to beat. You see the rapid hands. Amazing. 2 stomps to the head. He definitely will not be getting up easily from that one. And they run his pockets as well. This team knows what they are doing. And the last second kick, this man is not getting up at all. He definitely felt that, and Mark and the team are feeling great about their performance. Next team we have is Canada. Now, the Canadians are not bad at jumping. We do expect to see a good jump here. Not to mention, they are a little bit smaller in size, but they have added an extra person to balance that out. Amazing strategy. Let's see how they do today.
Hey, big bro, where you from? No, don't run, don't.
And they're off. It seems a little hectic at the... Oh, and a member is hit. We're definitely going to take points off for that. It depends on how they recover from here on out. They finally get him to the ground. Let's see what happens.
All right, he good, he good.
Oh, he gets up too quick. This does not look good for Team Canada. Leland knows this and is showing emotion, wishing he could have led his team to do a little bit better. There were a lot of mistakes in Team Canada's jumping. I do not think they're going to be able to come out with a gold, a silver, or a bronze. Maybe they should just stop jumping people as a country. And we have Team Jamaica up next. Now, this team is a sleeper. People in Jamaica are known to have a side that will turn up when needed. This will be an exciting one to watch. Let's see what happens.
Hey, my boy. Go on, my boy. Going the wrong way, me boy. Yeah. Get him on the ground. Get him on the ground.
Jamaica with an amazing execution, ladies and gentlemen, in and out. That is the type of jumping you want. A lot of butts. We like to hear those. And quick and got the point across. The Jamaicans are clearly our gold medalists for the event because they were very efficient. We like the way they were talking. We like what they were doing, and they beat the mess out of them. That is a perfect jumping. And now we're going to take it to men's snitching with Poland's very own hood nigga, Jonathan Newton. Let's see how solid he can be under pressure.
Mr. Newton, how you doing today?
Doing all right, yes.
Doing all right? I'm sure you heard. This is Rob at the corner set today.
Yeah, I saw the news.
You saw? Yeah. When is it said I saw you there?
I ain't seen me.
You ain't see you?
I ain't no snitch either.
I ain't no snitch. Nobody said nothing about that.
Slam, I'm solid.
You saw it? You got it for 10 years?
10?
15 ago, hurry up!
What? How we get 10? We didn't shoot the nigga, man. It wasn't my idea.
Whose idea was it?
It was Brandon and Demetrius, man.
Oh,
Come on, man. I'm not doing no 10. I can't do that.
Was it just y'all 3?
Yes, it was just us, man.
Okay.
But we didn't even shoot. We were just in there. We got one in and went out. That's it. We just took the money.
You took the money? Okay.
And he folded. And that quick, he has sold out his 2 partners and probably gave them 10+ years in jail. Jonathan Newton has snitched. He is a rat in his own hood now. I am interested to see how Poland will handle their very own hood nigga, Jonathan Newton, who they sent to represent their hood, snitching on the rest of them. Next up, we have Mark Phillips doing snitching for Team USA. Now, Team USA has been a little bit off their game this Olympics. They have been losing a lot more than we expected them to lose. Let's see if they can take a gold home in snitching.
Hey, Mr. Phillips, how you doing today? As you know, there was a murder today during a home invasion. Witnesses saw you at the scene. And, you know, we're trying to figure out what happened. Can you tell us what you were doing today?
I was at home, chilling.
Oh, you was at home. Okay.
Do you have for 10 years?
Get out my face.
Okay. So you want to play?
Now, remember, the goal here is to not snitch, so let's see how solid Mark Phillips can be.
I think we'll be here for a while. Stop on some food. I got fries, large fries. A Big Mac in here. So you help me out a little bit. Help you out a little bit. All you gotta do is tell me what happened. Hey, he already told me. He already told me what y'all was wearing. He said you had some 10s on. He had some black Air Forces.
He said I had some 10s on?
Some 10s. That's what he told me.
Man, you just guessed that shit, bro.
That's it. What you mean? I mean, y'all told me you had a gray Nike suit on.
Man, what the fuck?
So he a rat ass nigga. My nigga a rat ass nigga.
I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying that's what he told me.
Well, fuck it then. Shit. Lame ass nigga, since he wanna talk. Shit, hey, I feel like I deserve like 1 year at most.
1 year?
Cause I was just looking out. That nigga done ran around up in there and shot them people.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah, I was just looking out, nigga.
Okay, he's on that side.
He told me he knew that place.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
Who else was there?
Shit, it was everybody, nigga. Shit, Lil Ray.
Lil Ray, okay.
Shit, Marcus.
Yeah. You know where he stay at?
Man, hey, I know where they stay.
Okay, I got it.
Shit.
We'll get that.
Lame ass niggas. I'm snitching on all them niggas.
Oh, yeah, it's all you right here, by the way.
Yes, sir.
And Mark Phillips has started singing. He has sold out the Team USA's hoods. Maybe he was a bit hungrier than he had led the investigation team to believe, because he seemed to started folding when the McDonald's was pulled out the bag. A great job from the investigator, Benjamin Skinner. A big upset. Mark Phillips will not be taking home the gold medal in men's snitching.
Next up, we have Leland Menigo in men's snitching. Let's see how solid Canada can be. The other two hood niggas could not hold it down for their countries. Let's see if Leland Menigo can do it for Canada.
Mr. Menigo.
How you doing?
Pretty good. So you know, put some invasion today.
Actually, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Oh, yeah. Well, a couple was killed as well.
Oh, okay.
And what does it say? Someone that matched your description was fleeing the scene.
They lied.
They lying?
Yes.
Okay, they lying.
You know for the 10 years?
I'm not facing nothing. I don't know what's going on.
You know what's going on?
No.
Okay. Let's see about that. Seems a bit hungry. So I'll probably get some food.
Nah, I'm good. Appreciate it, though.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I am. You know what I'm saying? I got a large fry. I mean, I can't eat it all, you know. But
It's like a medium. Half of them gone.
there's a Big Mac in here, too. A large Sprite.
Like I said, I'm good. Thank you, though. I don't need it.
You good? You know that homeboy already snitched on you. He said he's running Black Forces.
You a lie. I ain't never had a pair of Black Forces in my life.
You never owned the Black Forces?
No, not once.
Okay. He also said that you're the one that pulled the trigger.
Bro, I was not there. I was at home playing 2K.
You playing 2K today?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Nope. Hope you're free to go.
All right, then.
Flawless performance. Leland Menigo has stayed solid on the investigator, Benjamin Skinner. 10 years could not scare him. I don't think 15 or 20 would have either, ladies and gentlemen. Leland Menigo is one of the most solid men in all of Canada. The hoods of Canada are extremely happy to have him represent their country. That man is solid.
And last but not least, we have Mark Phillips with men's instigating once again. He gave a gold medal performance last Olympics. Let's see how he does this Olympics, ladies and gentlemen. Can he do it again?
That's game?
Yeah.
Oh, you just won, right?
Yeah, you next.
No, I'm not next. I was just saying, like, you like 6'2", 6'3", right?
Yeah, like 6'3".
Oh, damn, 6'3".
Yeah.
You like, what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, you must be like Isaiah Thomas or something.
What?
You must be nice, because he's 6'3", getting beat.
Nah, he just had a good game. That's it.
Oh, yeah, a good game?
Just close.
That's it? That's all it was a good game?
Yeah, just a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, so you probably couldn't do it again then?
Probably not. What you mean?
Oh, okay, baby. That's what I was thinking.
Yes, I can. What are you talking about?
What you mean? We're running back right now.
Run it back. I'm saying, because ain't no 5'9" that should be beating you unless it's like Isaiah Thomas or something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta be Isaiah Thomas to beat me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm just saying, don't look at me. I ain't trying to, you know what I'm saying? But your girl is here, though, right?
Yeah, she is. She over there.
I'm saying, she probably looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? Girls like tall niggas that's athletic, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, I'm tall. I'm athletic.
I can't tell. You know what I'm saying?
It's whatever. We can get it right now. I'm just gonna
We can go right now. You said he wasn't that athletic, right?
You said that?
I mean, shit, maybe. I'm just saying, it's whatever. Like,
We're trying to do it back right now.
His girl did text you that one time, right?
I mean,
my girl texted you. What you mean?
I mean, it's funny. But I mean,
what the fuck you talking about?
Nigga, what the fuck you mean? What you mean, nigga? When she said
Hey, shit, you know what I'll do, man? I'm trying to play basketball.
Please get us that replay so we can see that breakdown of Mark's golden performance yet again.
What you like, 6'2", 6'3", right?
Yeah, like 6'3".
Oh, damn, 6'3".
Yeah.
You like, what, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, he must be like Isaiah Thomas or something.
And right off the bat, Mark knew what he was doing right here. Asking Ben his height and then asking Desmond his height. Clearly, he knew their heights already, and he just wanted to start something up.
That's it? That's all it was a good game?
Yeah, just a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, so you probably couldn't do it again then?
Probably not. What you mean?
Oh, okay, baby. That's what I was thinking.
Yes, I can. What are you talking about?
What you mean? We're running back right now.
Got him right there. He said he probably couldn't do that again. Now, we know for a fact that when you ask a nigga that question, that's only gonna start something up. And you see how flawless that worked.
But your girl is here though, right?
Yeah, she over there.
I'm saying she probably looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? Girls like tall niggas that's athletic, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, I'm tall, I'm athletic.
I can't tell. You know what I'm saying?
And there it is right there. Top tier instigating, ladies and gentlemen. He said, and your girl is right there. She had nothing to do with this, but yet he brought his girlfriend into the picture. Now, one thing we should know from niggas is when you bring their girlfriend into the picture unprovoked, there will be a problem every single time.
His girl did text you that one time, right?
I mean, my girl texted you. What you mean? I mean, once.
And that's all it took, ladies and gentlemen. Once he brought up the girl texting him, like I said, do not play with niggas' girlfriends. And he brought up the text right there. Mark is a gold medal instigator, and he will forever be one. I don't think anybody can come close to him in this category. He is as ignorant as niggas come. Mark loves what he does. He will instigate anything he can in any situation. Ignorance and niggas go hand in hand. And that concludes our Hood Olympics.
No matter where you go, you're just a tag.
I'm telling you, I'm finna give you some shit, okay?
What shit?
Take all that animosity out your voice.
You finna give me some bullets?
Nah, I'm finna give you some knowledge and some
I don't want no knowledge.
Yes, the fuck you do.
So y'all, you know what?